Yeah, just to introduce myself, I'm Peter from University of Reading. I sit in the Technology Enhanced Learning team, which is part of our quality assurance and academic advisory team. So we're a central team, so we manage Blackboard and Turnitin and various other applications, third-party tools. Um, and that's kind of where we sit and where we kind of have influence on the entire university, basically. My presentation kind of is a subheaded, how is Gradescope helping us manage paper-based assessment? So first of all, thinking about yourself, maybe your position, maybe your institution, thinking about how do you handle paper-based assessment? Do you have digital solutions for this? So similar solutions to Gradescope are Mobius grading, Crowdmark, Turnitin's bringing their own kind of paper to digital tool, and I'll briefly mention that in a minute. But I just thought maybe to kick us off, if you have experience of this, maybe just pop in the chat a yes or no about kind of does your institution ask students to submit handwritten assessment but digitally? Do you have handwritten assessment but submitting digitally? Just pop in the chat yes or no, and if you are using it, maybe just pop how you are using this. Is that through Blackboard or Moodle or Canvas or another tool? So just give a couple of seconds for that. Perfect. So we've got one using Gradescope, one not to knowledge, got another Gradescope user. Ah, excellent. Oh, interesting. So you've got a couple of things, Amanda, being used for various different departments and Gradescope at LSE as well. Oh, I've not heard of WiseFlow, so that's another one to look up. Thank you. Wonderful. So yeah, it looks like a few of you are using Gradescope, a few of you using a few different things. So thank you for your for taking part in that. Where we are is thinking about that paper-based is when I first joined the team, we were just in the middle of doing a large project to move all of our marking electronically. We'd used to some degree Blackboard, mostly Turnitin, but a lot of departments were still doing a paper hand in, still doing hand in your paper at this time in this Dropbox. And we moved everything with exceptions of things like architecture and models and a few other kind of typography and things, which would be larger files, used all them electronically. So that was the big electronic management of assessment program, which really helped us when we came to the pandemic. It really helped us to just carry on in some ways as normal, as much as we were thrown out. Of kilter, we really could move online and concentrate on teaching and providing instruction for how to teach online and support. Whereas the kind of the process of managing assessment and submitting assessment was really kind of day to day. So that was good. But when it came to exams, we realized that some people were still needing to use paper-based exams. So we kind of started thinking about how could we do that. And obviously in the kind of environment we're in now, where a lot of perhaps we're thinking about using less exams, but in terms of AI and concerns around that, we're actually using more paper-based exams. And there are some other projects in the university that still use kind of paper. What's next for us? So just briefly, our timeline in terms of sounds like so I think Amanda mentioned kind of different departments using different things. We were keen to use the same thing, but we had it limited to a few departments. And as this grew, we saw a need to actually, let's get an institutional license rather than just a fixed number of licenses from Gradescope, from Turnitin, Gradescope, who are the partner companies. So we used an institutional license, but that meant those that had used it for exams moved to coursework, and that was great. We encouraged that. We encouraged more people to take it up. But now we're kind of at the end of that that licensing and reviewing what we use it for, and it is predominantly coursework. And as I mentioned, we're moving back to exams that are paper-based, but also in different format, and we have less exams. So our usage has actually kind of dipped a little bit, and so we're kind of just trying to review what's going on. So in terms of the assessment types that you get with Gradescope, they have a kind of a weird, slightly different naming convention, but essentially you have a fixed template assessment type that can be marked per question, but also you can use computer learning AI to group the answers if they're short, kind of similar answers. You have more of a flowing template where students will tag their own work and own questions, and again that helps you kind of mark per question, but also students are submitting per paper. Then a couple of things that really kind of we use and are interesting are bubble sheets. So fill in the blank, fill in the dot kind of bubble sheet assignments that you upload from the as a bulk upload for multiple choice questions, and then programming assignments. So you can use Python programming and autograder. So for us, the scanning of handwritten papers was key. That was supported by Gradescope. Students can tag their own pages. So when we had a proper, a traditional exam format, answer 3 of 5 questions, students could tick per question which ones they were working on. Markers could use the horizontal grading, so that's just the one at the bottom, to mark per question. And then they could use an auto marking, so set up the bubble assignment and auto mark that, or coding on the it has an auto grade that you can set up. So we really kind of looked at Gradescope and thought this really does meet our need of paper-based marking, turning paper to digital. Some feedback. I've been doing a project recently to assess where we are with Gradescope, and some feedback was really helpful to me about Gradescope. So I've got the positives here. To me, Gradescope helps a lot with marking. They have a flexible rubric that you can change. So although we want to give an outline of the rubric to students, sometimes elements might change slightly, and we can give the same point weighting, but express it differently, and that can be done on the fly. I find a lot more user-friendly than Blackboard for their assignment setup, and the detailed rubric for marking, which also serves as individual feedback. So what's been selected gives feedback. Practically, we require code submissions, and I find that Gradescope is the only tool available that will reliably render that file format. And then the last one, which really helpful to know that it is being used successfully, is the horizontal marking. So this really helps me mark quickly and fairly. So thinking about when you get an assignment and you're reading the whole assignment, if it's question based and you've got to go between questions, actually horizontal marking might help you mark each student's question 1, question 3, all in one go, and therefore you're more kind of rounded in your thinking about what you're awarding marks for and giving good feedback for that. And again, the rubric comes into that to help give that. So where you've got a paper-based problem that you've been uploaded, actually you can then mark as if you've found it on the table. You mark per question, and then that really helps as well. So who uses Gradescope? So we have a variety of departments using Gradescope. I would say it would be more the STEM and maths focused departments that are more focused on it, despite my best intentions and trying to be creative. But economics, so they use that kind of flowing template. Meteorology have to mark a mix of maths and diagrams, so that's really useful to them. The business school, so that I'll mention them in a bit about their bubble sheet assignments. And computer science, so they were one of the first adopters in that first bit where we used a limited number of licenses. And they really, a number of their colleagues really worked hard to implement Gradescope, to prepare the students, to give demonstrations and give mock exam submission points so that students could be prepared. So we were all moving to a different way of doing exams, but where students had done essays and tests on Turnitin, obviously when they had an exam on Turnitin, that was a lot more familiar. They knew they had to upload one file. But when students come to Gradescope, they're faced with the choice of uploading multiple images or one PDF file. And if you've got to learn how to scan and create one document, and then on top of that, some students, some of the feedback that was given to me was sometimes students didn't attach the right page to the right question, which made searching for it fiddly, or maybe they don't even tag pages at all. So when we're giving that kind of ability to the students, because that's what we want for anonymity, when they're not tagging, it becomes a bit more of a fiddly process. You lose the flow whilst marking, and we're wondering maybe there could be an easier way, and trying to feed into Gradescope, or is there a way that you could adapt your system to make it easier to retag pages? The use case, sorry, I was going to see if whether I'll come back to the app in the question time at the end, I think. But that was one thing we did look at the app to see whether that would make any savings on that scanning and tagging, but I'll answer that at the end. So the use cases, so here we have an actual hand in a handwritten assignment as well. Someone's been taking that photo, and I presume they uploaded images of each question paper, nice bit of crumpled paper there as well, genuine image. And you can see on the side as well, this kind of well-formulated rubric that makes up two and 1 points to make the 3 points. And you can see that the marker has allocated both of those points to the student, but if they haven't met all the criteria, they can still get points, and you can still tag up the points for that student. The bubble sheets as well. So some of the departments were using a type of bubble sheet, but they were using scanners and older laptops with certain software on it. And between the scanners breaking and our IT policies changing, where each person really has to have their own device, and we're not really having departmental devices as much. It was really difficult for teams to translate what they had into to change that. So Gradescope really did help them in terms of being able to have a fixed template, and that's part of the problem with it is fixed. So you can't actually change the template, blank template, but you can put in what you're doing. So it's a 200 question template, but if you only use 20 or 50 or 100 questions, Gradescope manages with that. It marks what it sees. And that really helped them because they could just take the answers from the exam, go to a university scanner printer, upload it, do all the admin, kind of digital admin for that, and then they'd be able to upload one or two bulk uploads of the scans to Gradescope. Gradescope really does a good job of recognizing the name and the answers, and it does ask for clarification. So where I've tested it where you cross out an answer, and then do another answer, it probably will say this is the right answer, is it? But as soon as you say yes, then you go down all the questions, clarify all the questions for them, and you've got 100 papers you've just marked, 100 answers that's linked to students, and that's really quick and effective and easy for some people. And given when there's accreditation and needing to sit in class, this is a good method of being able to produce answers that meet the accreditation needs. So this has really been helpful to the business school, and has really, the admin teams around the university talk to each other, and so other places, as their kind of IT needs change, have been looking at Gradescope to develop that. The current project, as I said, was this kind of coming to an end of the 3-year license. Turnitin additionally are bringing in a paper to digital offering. Now, Turnitin own Gradescope, and so I've seen there's an article floating around somewhere, well, it's on the Turnitin website, it's not floating, but that shows some demo screenshots, which looks very similar to some of the Gradescope stuff. So I'm presuming they've taken that and put that on. So it'd be interesting to see what that brings in terms of being able to offer a Turnitin assignment. As I said, we've got less exams and more in-person exams. So actually Gradescope's being used for coursework, but it's also has a need for scanning. I know Harriet Watt sent around we were chatting, a few of us sent around a link to their kind of presentation, and they use a fixed template handwritten exam that they can scan in. We're not at that point at the moment, but that's one way some other universities use Gradescope, is that kind of using Python to get some of the coding on that needs to looking at digital solutions to paper-based practices. So one of the things is pharmacy. So pharmacy do objective structured clinical examinations, which I had to look up, but because we always use called OSCEs. So these are basically students go to a room, and we're lucky to have a lab suite. They used to go to our local football stadium with a few other universities, but now they've because it was a centralized thing, but now it's up to the university to follow the process by the pharmacy regulations. So they have actors come in, and they have to go through scenarios, and basically the marker in the room will make sure that it's a pass fail. So have they introduced their name? Have they washed their hands before the consultation? Have they explained the process to the patient? All the things that they really need them to be as competent pharmacists get acted out in a role play. But how do you assess that? Well, you assess that by sitting in a room as a marker, marking each student. But then that's 6 rooms they've been in, plus a drugs analysis. They get a bag of drugs. That gets marked. So Turnitin, the bit that we don't use necessarily is this fixed template, this optical recognition, AI kind of marking element. And this is a chance for us to actually try this and use that by breaking down the rubric. You can see that you put boxes on the screen to handle the paper and handle the amount of paper that's going to be generated per student, to then mark each question or each student, and then be able to have a record of that digitally, that has storage, that has external examiner access, things that we could do, online, might make it more efficient. We're just trialing this at the moment. We're seeing how it works, but it's a new exciting thing for us and very much outside the box for me, as what I usually do. So then coming back to that, how are we handling paper-based assessment? So we are using various methods. So we're using, so for these OSCEs, it could be a large bulk upload of student work that student marks. We've got bubble sheets, and we've got students tagging their own papers themselves. There are lots of variations we could try. As I said at the start, we've reduced a lot of the initially reduced a lot of the paper-based things anyway. So it's really looking for those areas and good practices from our own institution, but really looking outside and asking for your thoughts, your feedback. You know, what good practices do you use? Using I saw a lot of Gradescope, but also you know, other products that are used, and the process of taking paper and digitizing it just for the benefit of students and markers, really. So thank you very much. And yeah, looking forward to view those questions, actually.
Yeah.